All righty. Yes, we are live. What's up, everybody? What's up, YouTube world? YouTube world. My name is Gabe Strom. Welcome to the live hangout today. Let me refresh our page since we are live on the interwebs. Joined by my good friend, seven-figure Amazon seller. You guys know him in the group as Grant Dunn. Recently father of not one, but a second baby boy, baby Obi. Big Grant's in the house. What's up, Grant?
What's up, Gabe and group? And as you said, the YouTube world, TAP, and the top secret Amazon group. Good to be here today, serve you guys and talk to you guys a little bit.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, dude. We're doing an extra hangout today in honor of our live event coming up in Louisville, Kentucky on September 1st and 2nd. And Grant and I have put together a really cool early bird package to give you guys an incentive to get your tickets this week by July 14th. And we're going to talk about that as a special lead list that we're giving all early bird ticket holders. So whether you're a general ticket holder or a VIP ticket holder, and we're going to spend this hangout to answer your questions. We had a lot of questions come up in the group about the live event. So we're going to answer those questions, and we're going to talk about why leaders go to live events and the real value and the power and what can happen and the transformation that's available for you when you get around like-minded people, when you really rub shoulders with people that are succeeding and thinking at a higher level than you. So that's what this is about today. And guys, we got to say a special happy Amazon Prime Day to all of you Amazon sellers. Amazon does this genius thing that they've basically created their own Black Friday. So once a year in the middle of the summer, they have Amazon Prime Day. It actually started last night at, I think, 9 o'clock Eastern, and the sales have been going off all day. And so we're going to talk about what does that mean to you as an Amazon seller. And if you feel like you're like, oh, shoot, I missed the boat. Okay, if you have that feeling as an Amazon seller, there's good news because this is going to happen again for 30 to 45 days like crazy in Q4, probably more than that. And that's really what you want to be gearing up for. And so Grant and I are going to talk today about how you can best prepare for Q4. And wink, wink, that's why we've strategically scheduled this event for September 1st and 2nd, because it's really going to give you a launch pad to get your ducks in a row, to really capitalize Q4 and be ready for Q4. So I want to say a quick shout out real quick. I see those of you guys that are in our top secret group, you guys are joining in live on YouTube. So I see Ray's in the house. I see Melanie's in the house from Las Vegas, Ray from Tampa. I see Ann also from Tampa, Cindy Rooney from Virginia. So what's up, guys? And Grant, I'm fired up, dude. It's Prime Day. Our event's coming up. Q4 is coming up. It's like this is like the good eating season. So how you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, bro. I got up early this morning, did a little men's group. There's actually only two of us. It was more of like a one-on-one, and that was really good. Guy about twice my age and far wiser than myself. Did that about, man, we met at 6 o'clock this morning, which is pretty early for me because you know, I've gotten pretty used to getting up a little later and starting my day a little later. However, I have been on the bicycle most mornings at 7 o'clock, 7:30, trying to get my workout on. So that's been good too. But yeah, just hanging out, enjoying life and enjoying the fruits of my business and stuff like that. So it's been good.
Cool, man. Well, let's dive in, dude. I know you're sharing some of these personal things. This is part of your vision, though, is to be how, I mean, you've built a successful Amazon business, and I'm going to brag on you for just a second in case someone doesn't know your full story. And you've essentially built systems to free up your time. And so where a lot of people say, oh, I can't do retail arbitrage or I can't shop in local stores because I got a full-time job or whatever, you've built systems. And so now you don't actually have to be there. So now you can get up early in the morning and go to men's group and you can ride your bike. But that wasn't the case 2 years ago. I know you were in the hustle mode. So first off, what's going on for you guys with Amazon Prime Day? Is this just a normal day in the shop, or what are you guys seeing that's different today?
Nah, I mean, I figured that sales are probably about 50% higher than normal as far as this morning. Yesterday, though, was a good day. We hit, I don't know if I should hit numbers or should I talk about numbers?
Go for it, man.
$3,500 yesterday, which I mean, we do on occasion around the $35,000 to $4,000 range, but a better than most day for yesterday. And then today we're at $1,350. So I would say that's probably 50% higher than where I'm normally at this time of day. So hopefully, I don't know, maybe hit another $4,000 or $5,000 day if things keep going at this rate. A lot of people are at work right now, so I imagine sales are going to pick up as people start getting off and go home and capture those deals. So
Yeah, man. My wife was sitting on the floor last night, folding clothes, and she she was on her phone. Look at them, like, yeah, honey, I know. There's a lot of deals. I know there's a lot
Yeah.
of deals on a lot of stuff. Okay, cool. So you saw about double sales. Let me just ask you this, dude. There's a lot of people, and obviously we're right in the middle of Amazon Prime Day. So if you're an Amazon seller and you're prepared, you're seeing a little boost in your sales. If you didn't do anything, so what kind of things did you do to prepare for this? And I mean, I guess I'm asking this too for Q4 as well. But were you repricing things aggressively, or how are you prepping for Prime Day?
To be honest with you, for us, very little preparation for Prime Day, mainly because it's a day. It's not 2 or 3 weeks of excessive amount of traffic. It's one day where, Amazon puts on a bunch of promotion. They spend a bunch of money to drive a ton of traffic. They give stuff away probably for less than what they paid for it, at least by the time they fulfill it. And that brings in all this traffic. But it really is only a 24-hour block of time. So I have seen, however, where very different sellers have done really, really well. In fact, some sellers will claim that the Prime Day is the best day of their business. And I think it's because they've got volume, right? Wholesale, private label type stuff, where they can do like lightning deals and kind of take advantage of the different promotions that Amazon, will come to us. If you've been in the business a while, Amazon will usually reach out and be like, hey, would you like to put some of your stuff on a lightning deal? Well, if you don't have volume, then that's not going to make a whole lot of sense. You're going to go out of stock in an hour or less. And so with my type of business, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, we're very wide, very shallow. Don't get me wrong, I do have SKUs with 100+ units on it. In fact, we just sent out a few light bulb SKUs where we have over 300 units of each of them, but they're not there yet. So the timing just didn't work out. So yeah, I didn't do a whole lot. Right? What I am doing though is I'm going into my repricer. This is what I would encourage anybody in our type of business to do throughout the day, and this is what I'll be doing until basically the end of the night. This evening is going into my repricer, going into all my at max prices, stuff that's currently at my max threshold, and just whittling those prices down to what will be more competitive. And I have noticed I'm capturing sales because of it. I started doing that yesterday afternoon and basically through the evening. Pretty simple, just sit on the recliner and point and click, right? And do a little Keepa analysis, bring the price down to what I think will be more competitive, more attractive, and that's what we've been doing. I'll probably work through the rest of I got 200+ SKUs that are at my max threshold. And the reason why I say start there, and so just to kind of hit on that for real quick, is because your max is usually kind of your hopeful, like that's where I hope that I could sell it for. You're looking at Keepa, like, well, it sold for $65 once, like 2 years ago. So you set your max at $65. Well, that's not necessarily going to happen unless it's like November or December. And so this time of year, bring the price down to what it's historically sold at during that time of year in the past, and you can start to move product that way. The other option, this is the other suggestion that I would encourage you guys to do, is if you're stuck with inventory that's not moving, that maybe the ranks aren't very low, it's just a slow moving product, and maybe you're even thinking and have been talking and considering liquidating that inventory, there's probably not a better day than right now to start liquidating inventory, bring your prices down, because that traffic is at an all-time high for this time of year. So you can kind of push stuff out and capture sales and just move it through your inventory, get some capital back, and start getting ready for Q4.
Okay, man. So, I mean, that's how I took this today too. This was like just a little practice bump, just a little sample taste of Q4. And for those of you guys that have been around the Amazon space for a year, 2 years, 3, 5, whatever it is, what happens in Q4. And that's what we want to help prepare you for at the summit. So you're saying, Grant, one of the best things you can do even today, all through the day, is you mentioned people are at work. And so, I mean, a lot of people shop while they're at work. They're sitting there, they got their phone under the desk, it's like break time. So it's happening all day. But just to be aggressive with your prices. So be touching your prices, anything that's at the app max price in your repricer, whatever repricer you're using, just be more aggressive today than normal,
right?
Especially if you have some inventory, like you're saying, Grant, that you've been holding on to and hasn't been selling. Today's a great day to liquidate some of that stuff, get that capital back so you can invest it in other stuff. And you guys are still turning stuff really quickly. Do you know what your return rate is these days?
Yeah, it's still probably, 70%. Just kind of right around the same. We turn about 70% of our standing value. So you look at our store, whatever the sales value of it is at any snapshot moment in time, 70% of that is our sales. And so right now we kind of maintain like 100. We've actually been putting a little more product in the store lately, but right around $100,000, value of, if we were to sell everything today, we'd get 100 grand. We're still 70 plus per every 30 days. So
that's awesome.
1,000.
Yeah, that's killer, man. You guys buy the right stuff, and that's important. I mean, this business, you can buy the right stuff and it can move fast. You can buy the wrong stuff and it sits, and that really that can be a fine line. And that's some of what you're going to get in Louisville. We're going to lay out some plans. I know you're going to be talking about Q4. We're going to have Devin on a hangout later on. He's going to be talking about Q4 and building a plan and a strategy to attack Q4. So before we get into the Q4 strategy stuff, are there some little things at the Amazon Prime Day we just want to touch on? There's, if you're a private label seller, you mentioned this, Grant, right. This can be a whole different strategy with Prime Day and with Q4. And I'm very excited that Craig Soderdahl is going to be teaching at the summit this year. If you guys don't know Craig's story, he runs, he's a director for a Christian kids camp in a couple of different parts of the Midwest. And very quietly, Craig started off doing exactly what all of us in this group have done of retail ARB and online ARB. And very quietly, last year, he's added 22 domestic private label products. His numbers are a little different than yours, Grant. He does a lot less volume and a lot higher profit. So he only sold, I think he said he was around 360,000 in sales, but that brought him 120 grand net profit business. I think he was like a 35–40% profit margin. So it's funny you brought up private label. I know this is an area that you're moving into and Devin's moving into and Gary Ray is looking to move into. A lot of successful sellers in our group are looking for ways to add private label to their business. And so I'm excited that Craig's going to be there and we can all learn from, what he's done to create that success. But tell me this, man, what live events, I don't want to hype this up. Live events are, you got to travel there. You got to fly there. You got to get there. You got to pay for a hotel room. It's like an investment in your time. And so I acknowledge everybody else that's already signed up. And I get that. Why do you believe, and I'm just kind of curious from your experience, but we titled this Hangout, Why Leaders Go to Live Events, or Why Leaders Go to Louisville. What have live events done for your business? And I'm just kind of curious if there's been any kind of pivot points for you.
The one word that comes to mind and always comes to mind when I think of live events is relationships. People say that your net worth is your network, right? So whoever you're spending your time with and rubbing shoulders with, you're going to start to evolve and kind of turn into those people. And so, when I had my first opportunity, I think it was over 2 years ago. It was over 2 years ago to go to my first, Amazon event. I was struggling like crazy. I talked about that, and I won't retell the whole story because there's 2 videos inside the group you can go watch. Just scroll through and find them, part 1 and part 2. But I was struggling like crazy and met a couple of guys who were in the business for a fraction of the time that I was, and in a way it kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it. Like you meet somebody who's been in the business for half as long as you and they're making 3 times the money, 4 times the money. That's irritating, right? Which it can be frustrating for a moment, but then your mind shift changes, and that's where the events can have such a huge impact. As you go there, you meet somebody, they're successful, and all of a sudden you realize that they're no different than you. In fact, you might even be smarter than them, right? And I guarantee you, a lot of you that are watching this video right now or watching the recording, you're smarter than me. You're more intelligent than I am. You probably have you might have a college degree or more business experience, or you've worked for a business. My experience was barely, barely getting through high school, and probably only passing because I was an athlete, right? I'm pretty sure I got a pass from a lot of my teachers. I'm almost confident that I got a pass in a lot of my classes because they wanted me to play on Friday, and I wanted to play on Friday, and so did everybody else. So that kind of sounded weird and boastful, but so I barely got through high school. I started this online career thing, like 7 years ago. Knew how to, do a Google search, watch a YouTube video, and check my email. That was basically it. Those were the 3 things I could do online. I didn't even have any typing skills. You guys, I can type probably, I don't know how many words per minute now, but when I started this whole career, I didn't know jack. So those of you that are out there, I've spoken with some of you. You're like, I don't have any tech skills. Trust me, like I've been there. So my point is a lot of you guys are probably more skilled than I was when I started my Amazon business. You're more intelligent. And when you go to an event and you find you rub shoulders with other people who are being successful, you start to compare yourself to them and realizing that there's really not that much of a gap between where they're at and where you are, other than just a decision, right? Just a belief, a mindset. And then you can start working on your mindset. And that's going to be a big part of what's at the event. Gabe's really good at, developing your mindset. In fact, I can speak with my from experience with this. Gabe has done a great job of helping me develop my mindset over the last couple of years. It's part of the reason why we're a 7-figure seller, is just talking to Gabe and having him really work through the limiting beliefs and the barriers that are in my mind's eye. So yeah, it's killer. Events are the bomb.
So let me just ask real talk, and I appreciate you sharing that. Mindset is everything. If you guys have heard us on a hangout before, I firmly believe is the only difference between the billionaire and the poor man is just,
right.
I mean, there's a reason why they say if they were to take all the money in the world, put it up in an airplane and throw it out into the sky in a matter of 5 to 10 years, it's going to end up back in the hands of the wealthy. Why is that? Why do 99% of people stay at the same level? What's the 1%ers do different? They think different. That's it. That's all right. I've noticed. And I've had the privilege of interviewing and talking to wealthy people, successful people all across the planet. And that's really all the difference is. So that is the power of live events. There's only so much we can do. Google Hangouts are awesome. Right? Online courses are awesome. The internet, I mean, we're grateful for it, but something special happens when you get around like-minded people and you rub shoulders. And it's not, I mean, there'll be some awesome content at the summit from the speakers. Grant, right. You're speaking. We've got Devin speaking. We've got Craig Soderdahl, our private label, speaking. But really, the magic at events, and this is no attack to any of our egos as speakers. I know you guys don't come for the speakers. That's just to kind of stimulate the conversation. Really, right. It's what you create. And when you come to the event and you rub shoulders and you meet somebody in your area, Grant, I got to tell you the story, man. That's where the power happens that I see. It's in the hallways. We've created a VIP lounge this year, which is a special thing we're doing. You guys can find out all the details of this on Seller Summit Live. There will be a link below this video where you can go to sellersummitlive.com and get your tickets even as you're listening to this. But we've added these experiences and designed an experience for you completely catered around helping you connect with other people so that you can have the breakthroughs that you're looking for. And that's one of the things we're going to ask all of you that come to the event is just to set an intention. What do you want to get out of it? And that's we're going to talk through that and coach you through that. But Grant, I want to know some of your breakthroughs, dude. I mean, you're a 7-figure seller now. You've more than replaced your income as your full-time job, your last job that you were doing in plumbing. What were some of the early events? What happened to you when you got there and you rubbed shoulders? You mentioned rubbing shoulders with a couple of guys who had been in the business less than you had, so a shorter period of time, but they were getting greater results. What happened to your business after that event?
Well, the big takeaway was, I remember him asking me, and again, I kind of talk about this in those videos, but he goes, what are you doing? Like kind of, interviewing me. And this is what we'll do. This is what we do with coaching clients. So we do TAP members. What we'll do with you at the event is we'll ask you, I mean, what are you doing? What's working for you? What's not working for you? And you'll be surprised how someone who's seasoned can start breaking things down and figuring out where you're missing the mark and what your limiting belief actually is. And so he's asking me, he goes, well, what do you do? And I said, well, I go in and I do mostly clearance. Well, that kind of surprised him. He was like, what? He's like, immediately, he was like, you're not scanning enough stuff, dude. I mean, that was like, he literally, like, he almost said it just like that. He's like, dude, you're not scanning enough stuff. That's why you're struggling. I'm like, really? And so, he starts telling me how, like, they don't go into a store without, and you guys have heard me say it, don't go into a store without scanning 100 items. If you walk out without scanning 100 items, you are doing yourself a disservice. You know what I mean? And so with retail arbitrage, that's kind of the name of the game, is scan more stuff, do more analytics, send more stuff in, right? And, turn your money faster. That's been a big takeaway from events, is just, not sitting on inventory and letting it burn a hole in your business, seriously, or through your computer, because that's just a total waste of money. I think one takeaway I got from the first Seller Summit last year was, your inventory is like employees, right? And if you have an employee, right, you're paying this employee, you've invested a certain amount of money into this employee, and they're sitting on their tail end doing absolutely nothing, what are you going to do? You're going to fire them, you're going to let them go. I hope so, hopefully, right? It doesn't take you too long to figure that out. Your inventory is the same way. Every product you buy is an employee that's supposed to go to work for your business. And if that employee is sitting in your store for 2 or 3 or 4 or longer, right, and doing absolutely nothing, you need to turn and burn, right? You need to fire that employee. You need to liquidate, get your capital back, and reinvest it into a better employee, aka inventory. So that's probably two of the biggest takeaways is, you know, scan everything, you know, shove product down Amazon's throat because it loves it. And then turn and burn inventory. Like, there's no point in sitting on inventory for too long. And I think that's those two things really is probably the two biggest takeaways.
So you go to this event and you meet these guys getting better results than you. I don't know if this was in a session or the hallway or whatever. They give you these 2 little shifts that you made, and then and you were just, I mean, you mentioned back then you didn't have a lot of skills. This was still like you're kind of in the middle of your internet marketing days, trying to figure this whole, you know, how to make money online thing, how to make this stuff worked. And what happened to your business when you got home? What happened to your confidence?
Well, I was pretty jacked. I was pretty pumped up, right? Because here I'm looking at these guys and I'm grilling them. Like, I'm asking them and it was in the hallway. By the way, that first event, actually any event I've ever been to, I don't remember anything that was said on stage, not one thing. Now I'm not going to tell you that it didn't have an effect on me. It didn't change me and help me in some way or another, or it didn't get written down in a notebook. But really the stuff that had the biggest impact was the hallway conversations. Like we talked about the VIP lounge, that type of stuff, getting to know somebody, asking questions. And so I came back from that event. We started scanning everything, right? We went in, what we started with in our scan everything journey was we went to Walmart and we started scanning every grocery. I actually had hired, I came home, I was so pumped up. I called my cousin, I said, look, bro, like, I want to hire you part-time. I'll pick you up every night after work. We both had full-time jobs, and we're going to go to Walmart and we're just going to scan every freaking grocery in the store. And he's like, really? I said, yeah. So I teach him how to scan, teach him how to analyze products. And within probably 6 to 8 weeks, we had scanned every grocery item at Walmart, and some too. We went into like the beauty products and the health and personal care products and the napkins and all this type of junk. And well, I can honestly tell you that was March of 2015. Trying to remember the dates here. 15 to 16. Yeah, so March of 2015. And by August of 2015, so like 5 months later, I quit my job. So my confidence, if you're asking, and it went from here to there. And the reason, and I remember being at this point where it's like I wasn't even ready to quit my job, like I couldn't afford it yet. At this time, kind of backtracking, you know, Ashley had quit her job previous to August of 2015 when I quit my job. A year prior, Xander was born, my first son, and Ashley was not going to go back to work, and I agreed. Right, we had drawn our line in the sand. She wasn't going back, and so I had worked my tail end off to replace her income from the bank, and we had done that and some, but not replaced my own personal income yet. And it was a Father's Day event, at church, and I listened to this pastor and his son, right, the pastor's son, on stage, and they were talking about, you know, what a good father does, and kind of the things that this father had done well, and his son was affirming him, and I'm going to get emotional thinking about it, but his son was affirming him and stuff, and I was like, oh man, I kind of got angry about it, you know, because I was working so hard, working so many hours. I didn't even know my kid, and I just got back previous to this weekend on this little camping trip. My grandma had died, and we memorialized her at this camping trip, and I spent more time with my son in about 4 days than I had previously in the whole year. That's how hard I was working. So that hopefully doesn't scare anybody away, but that's how hard I was working to make things work. And I finally took a leap. I told Ashley, we left the church event, or that Father's Day service, and I said, look, I either quit my job or I quit this business. I can't do both. I'm exhausted, and I can't be a good dad doing this way anymore. And so I quit. And a couple months later, we replaced the difference of my full-time income. I hired my cousin full-time, right? Replaced, you know, again, a little early. That's kind of how I do things. Jump off, you know, try to build the wings on the way down and not hit the ground. And so far it's worked. Anyway, yeah, man, it totally changed the trajectory of my business, man. One event.
So you came back, all this stuff happened. You came back. This was and really from that event till leaving your job, you said it was a 5-month period.
Yeah, March of 2015 was the event, and then August of 2015 was when I quit my job.
So this is an incredible testament to the power of how fast things can change in your life. So live events, I mean, if you just want to like stick your toe in the water, and I'll just be up front with you. If you want to come to the event and hang out and get jacked up, that's cool, but that's not why we do it. This is for people who are sincerely want to change their life and you want to get better results and you're committed to doing whatever it takes to do that. That's who live events are for. And that creates this amazing culture that when you get there, that's probably one of my favorite parts about this, Grant, is it's a special group of people. Like you can't, I mean, I don't know what your, circle of friends and family is like. We have friends at church and things like that, but they're not all entrepreneurial. They aren't all playing at this level. And so when you get all those people in a room together, people that are building full-time incomes, working online, 6-figure sellers, 7-figure sellers, people of all different experience levels, but you create this like magnetic energy. That's one of my favorite parts about event. And the conversations are just awesome. But so 5 months for you guys is incredible. And that's interesting because we had a member come to our event last year, and we've told the story of Raul and Elizabeth Garcia before, and it's worth hearing again, or if you haven't heard of what happening. But walk us through Raul and Liz. Raul had just been fired, I think, from his job of like 28 years. He was working for, I forget who it was. Was it, I guess it doesn't matter who he was working for, some corporate America entity, right?
Yeah, he was doing some sort of accounting. He had been there for, I want to say, I know it was over 20 years or something like that. Maybe as closer to even 30 years. For some reason, the number 27 is ringing up in my mind. I'm not really sure why. But anyway, I'd been at this organization for a long time. They worked him like a dog. And then when they decided to make some changes, they ended up letting him go. And so he was at the event. Where were we? Tennessee? Memphis.
He was in Memphis, Tennessee. Yep. And,
in Memphis, he went up on stage and made a declaration that he would be earning a full-time income. I think his goal was it $30,000 a month in a year or something like that, or what?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch the tape. I thought I heard him say something about 10,000 a month. I'll have to check the declaration. I mean, I want to be accurate with that. But he basically, he stood up in front of the room at the event. He had just been let go from his job. I don't think they had. I don't know what his personal situation was, but his back was totally up against the wall. Like we're talking like do or die. Like this isn't, and there's some clues in their story about how they created success because he really didn't have another option. Like, I mean, you got to coach and he ended up working with you and came into our mentoring program and did things a smart way. So he had, I mean, I know you gave him products and you were kind of helping him go through this process. But Raul, stood up in front of the room, made a declaration to build a full-time. I'm going to replace my day job income. I think his goal was 10,000 a month. And then you guys got to work, and that was in March. And so you guys got to work. And then where was he at by Christmas time?
I think in December he did around $50,000. It was like between 40 and $50,000 in the month of December.
That was his sales or his profit?
I believe that was his sales.
It was his sales. Okay. Okay, cool. So I know,
hopefully I'm accurate on that. You'd have to ask Raul yourself if you're wondering for sure, but
we're going back and forth on the story. But the moral is he came to the live events. He made a declaration and set a new intention at the event. So there's a couple of clues here. One, he showed up. And if you're taking notes on this hangout, which I encourage you to do that, showing up is half of, I believe it's more than that, of success. So you gotta put yourself in the arena. You got to get on the field. So this is a call to arm for all of you that are in our group that have already decided to come but haven't got your tickets. Get your tickets and get on the field. That's the first step, okay? You got to be on the field to play the game. Number two is he came to the event and he participated. Okay, he stood up. He did something brave. A lot of people don't do stuff like this, and you don't have to. You're welcome to sit there. He stood up, grabbed the mic, and made a public declaration. Okay, so a really great way to get results in your life is to put yourself on the spot because then you have all this accountability built into it. So that's the second clue is he made a new declaration. Third clue to Raul's story is he did the wise thing and he wanted to take the short path. And when you start out any new kind of business, whether you're selling on Amazon or anything, you can always take the short path or the long path. Long path is experience. It doesn't cost anything but your time. And I say that laughingly because it could be up to 10 years. You could be the overnight 10-year success story, which is which is one way, or you can take the short path. You can find a mentor, and the mentor can guide you. And this is a process that has worked for thousands of years. This is the process that inspired the apprentice program that we run now. We have clients all across the country that are plugging into our apprentice model because you learn from a mentor who's been there, done that. And that's the purpose of the summit. We're getting not just one mentor, Grant will be there, but we're getting you a whole room full of mentors and peers so that you can have the support system to be successful. And these are the ingredients in building successful people. You've got to have an environment for you to grow in. If you look at nature, guys, it's the same thing. You can't plant, you can have the best seed in the world, but if you plant it in the desert all by itself, it's just going to get dried up and sucked out. And that's the same thing in your world. If you plant your seed, you plant your business in an unhealthy environment where your friends are hating on you and your Aunt Etna is telling you that stuff will never work, right? You get all this weird feedback, and then you go home and you're all depressed from your job, so you turn on the TV for 2 hours a night. Well, no wonder you're creating the results you're getting. You're feeding yourself all this garbage. So at a live event, we get to strip all that stuff away. I think one of the reasons they work so well is you go to a new environment. And so, we chose a venue. This particular Hyatt was just renovated 2 years ago. It's simple, it's clean, it's got a minimalistic thing going on in the room. So you don't have the typical distractions that you have in your everyday life. And then you throw in a bunch of awesome people, sprinkle in some awesome speakers, get a little VIP action going on, and then you toss in a welcome reception. You have a recipe for success where you're creating and building a successful environment around you. And that's what creates success. And so the reason you got, hopefully you can feel our passion. The reason we get excited about this, and I believe so fiercely that this is the best way for you to transform your life, is because we've seen it happen, not just in our lives, but we've seen it happen in countless other people who plug into this system and get results. So Raul and Liz, I just get fired up about their story, Grant, because these guys, similar as you, did not have a background in Amazon. I tell his story frequently because there's so many people that get into this business because they want to leave their day job. And if you're watching this video right now and you're doing something that you don't like, and I saw a statistic the other day, Grant, that 70% of Americans are disengaged at work. They don't like what they're doing and their head is somewhere else. Maybe that's you. And I always ask that question, why in the world do these people keep showing up to do stuff they hate? Well, the answer is you got to pay the bills. And so there's this tension, right, Grant, if you think back to when you wanted to leave your job between, I want to leave my job, I'm not fully fulfilled in doing what I'm doing, but I need the income. It's a love-hate relationship. Right. So if you're serious about that, one of the best and fastest ways to do that is to do what Raul and Liz did, is come to our next summit. We do this once a year. This is our gift to you guys, really, as being a part of our community, to help you have that quantum shift in your thinking. And we're doing it right before Q4. So, Grant, let me ask you, man, let me take it back to the technical. The season of this is very timing. You guys, if you haven't got your tickets yet, there's a limited number of rooms in our room block. So make sure you grab those this week. I don't know how long those are going to be open. But tell me about this, dude. What happens in Q4, man? Walk me through, for someone who hasn't gone through a Q4 yet. When do you want to be buying, and kind of what's the timeline of what you want to do to be prepared?
Right. You can start buying for Q4 really now. I would encourage you to start taking Q4 really seriously by September 1st, or really right after the event, right? Go to the event, get fired up, get excited about your business, get excited about Q4, learn some stuff, make a plan of action, right? Maybe even have a mastermind before you leave that event, and then go to work, right? And so you have from September, so whatever you do between now and September, that's good for you, right? I go for it, right? But from September through October and November, what I will be doing, right? So I'll just kind of give you my plan of action. Is we're going to be obviously looking at anything that we scan that has a small marginal profit, right? So normally you scan something that's, let's say it's a $10 buy cost and there's only $1 profit. You're probably going to leave it on the shelf. Most cases, it's not worth your money. It's not worth your investment. But what I like to do as we get closer to December, really, because really from Black Friday through the 20th of December, that's really the peak season. I would say even more so between the 10th and the 20th of December. That's the ultimate peak. That's like the summit. But what we'll be doing is we'll be looking at Keepa on any marginally profitable items, And if we can see that there's a hump, right, during Q4 in the past, and there's a sufficient rank to ensure that there's going to be even more sales during Q4 than there are currently, then I'm starting to think about, what if I buy this, put it in my garage, put it in my storage unit, or even send it into Amazon and just hold it until, after Thanksgiving. And if I think that I can turn a $1 profit into a $10 profit, or maybe a $15 or $20 profit, then I'm going to buy that product, hold it, and then sell it during the peak season. So so we'll be doing that all the way leading up into really the November 25th. Continue to buy product all through December, of course, but really November 25th is where I'm pretty much holding back the reins on my business. And then I start to flip switches right around, Black Friday, right? Or I might even be flipping switches just before Black Friday. But still holding back, being pretty conservative with my pricing and holding back and watching the market, because I can almost bet you, right, if it's a product that sells now, like if it sells on November 20th, like if you know that if I take the buy box, I'm going to make a sale or 2 or 3 or 4, it's going to sell that much more as you get into December. So I hold those products, and not just more volume, but for more profit, because what happens is inventory levels start to drop, right? Supply levels drop extensively because your demand on Amazon goes up. I got to turn my phone off here. Your demand's going to go up, 3, 4, 5, maybe even 10 times what's normal, depending on the product, maybe even more than 10 times what's normal, depending on the product. And so what happens is supply will go down. Amazon goes out of stock on a lot of products. That's something we can be talking about on this call a little bit. Something I'm getting very well equipped and prepared for is Amazon going out of stock on a lot of listings. I pretty much am finding out all of them, finding them, and putting them into a little swipe file. So if you have Amazon flips for Q4, guess what? I'll be selling on those too. I know that sounds kind of but we got a lot. We got like a lot of Q4 Amazon flips where Amazon will go out of stock almost year after year after year. You'll see these Keepa graphs through your research. Amazon's a steady seller, and that's not something to consider too. Well, Amazon's competition. Well, maybe they're competition in September, but are they competition after Thanksgiving? Are they competition in the peak season of December? And you'll often find that they aren't. They go out of stock almost year after year on some of these products, and there's an opportunity for you to capitalize on something that sells for 4 or 5, times its normal sale value. So yeah, it's buy, hold, right? Consider products that you normally wouldn't consider if they have marginal profit. The reason I say marginal profit is because that little marginal profit is kind of your insurance. It's like my way of saying, well, I'm going to buy this and it's only going to make $1 or 50 cents, or maybe it breaks even, but at least I'm going to get my investment back, worst case scenario. Now, very rarely in that scenario are you going to get into December and not sell it for more than what you bought it at, what you intended to sell it at when you bought it, or what it was selling at when you bought it. So you're kind of playing in on this fact that the volume's going to go through the roof, right? Supply is going to drop, prices are going to go up because of that, and it's like a domino effect, right? Demand, supply drops, prices go up, you make a killer profit, right? And that's how we did really well in Q4. I mean, you look at our numbers in Q4 of last year, 2016. November, I actually have it up. Well, I had it up, but now I'm looking at a different chart. But anyway, our sales basically tripled from between November and December. Now, the reason why isn't because we sold 3 times the normal volume. It's because I had my store chock full of goods, and I was holding back my prices. Right, I was waiting, and we sold like 170 plus and made a $50,000 profit in 1 month. And I tend to do that and significantly better. The goal for this year is $250,000 or more just in the month of December. And again, I know people like to talk about Q4, but in my opinion, Q4 really doesn't start until Thanksgiving Day. That's just kind of how I do things. Now, don't get me wrong, you're going to see the market changing and fluctuating. Things are going to happen. Product opportunities are going to reveal themselves. And that's the cool thing as you go. So let's kind of talk about another strategy similar to what I just explained, where you're looking for marginal profit from September and October. Well, as you go through the season, right, as you get further and further, away from, October 1st and towards, let's say, Thanksgiving Day, product opportunities are going to start to pop up, right? And this is why you just want to be if you're going to do retail arbitrage, or online arbitrage. You want to be, you know, a scraping or a scanning fool. Like, you just want to be out there as much as you possibly can, be analyzing as many products as you can. Go into the toy aisles, whether it's Walmart, Target, Shopko, Toys R Us, it doesn't matter. Scan all of that stuff, right? I'm giving you guys like gold right now. I'm telling you, like, you just need to do what I'm telling you. Go scan all the toys, go scan all of the, you know, the really toys. Toys is like, it's easily exploitable, right? Because the big part about Christmas is buying for the kids. And even when you got families that they don't buy for each other, they're still buying for the kiddos. It's just one of those things that's not going to go away, at least not soon. And so, but you'll start to see these products that you scanned 2 weeks ago that didn't look like they were any good. And by the time you get into like mid-November, you're scanning them and you're like, whoa, this thing's making a $4 profit all of a sudden. Where'd that happen? Where'd that come from? And you can start to see a trend taking place. And if you got that second graph on your Keepa, right, the bottom graph, that's your offer count. And as you see that offer count start to decline, right, I should actually do it this way. I think this would be the more, as you see that offer count start to decline, you're going to notice the price starting to go up and the profit is going to start to reveal itself. It's like catching a tidal wave, right? And it's catching a tidal wave. But now tidal waves hit the beach too, right? They hit the beach and then they go flat. So you catch that tidal wave as it's starting to form. It builds up and builds up as it gets closer to the beach, right? And when I say beach, I'm talking like December 20th, 20 to 22nd, somewhere in that, depending on UPS shipping speeds and Amazon FBA fulfillment speeds, right? We don't really know how they're going to perform because it could be, you know, they may not be well prepared for it. Last year, they did a really good job. You could go all the way up until about the 21st to 22nd before sales really started to fall off the map. And it's not like it goes away completely, but it changes. Like Christmas buying season is over, right? Now, there's still some good stuff that happens after that, and we can talk about that too, but you want to catch the tidal wave and you want to sell before the wave hits the beach.
Dude, there's a whole strategy in this. I love that Q4, there's a lot of people that kind of check out for part of the year at Amazon sellers, and then they come out like a vengeance. You know, they come out of the woodwork for Q4. So if you are a seasonal seller, you could absolutely just catch the wave of Q4. And the 80-20 rule, you know, 80% of our results come from 20% of our activity certainly applies to Q4. So you're saying we had the event, we're hosting the event on September 1st and 2nd. This fall, so just in a couple months coming up here, so that you can get prepared and get your game plan ready for Q4. But you're saying then September, October, November, and really from Thanksgiving on is when Q4 is happening. So you want to be stocked, cocked, locked, and loaded, ready to go before then. Which means you got to be buying. I mean, you guys are buying now. I know you. I mean, you've been through. Will this be your third or fourth Q4 now?
This will be number. I think this is number 4. Might be number 4. Our first, well, it's number 3 that I've been doing retail arbitrage. I think it's number 3.
So it's your third. So last year, well, your second Q4, you dropped some you dropped some numbers that kind of snuck by people, but 170,000 in sales, 50K in profit. So yeah. You said that and just dropped that in. I want to know who here that's on live on YouTube, post in the chat box, would like an extra 50 grand profit. And I want to know, what would that mean to your family? Okay, what would an extra $50,000 in profit, and you owe your taxes on that, so you can do the math on what that would be. What would that mean to your family? And I'm curious, for those of you guys that are on here live, what that would mean to your career, and not just the money. I think what's exciting about that, Grant, is you learned a skill. So you didn't just make 50 grand over a couple weeks. And we saw, and when Zach did this the first time, I think he was the first member of our group. I think his first big Q4, he was like around 75K in profit. So we've seen people breaking these numbers. I don't know what Gary Ray numbers were for last year. I don't know what Devin's numbers are from last year. We'll find out. But all this pivots around the summit. I hope you guys see why we've built this experience for you. But we want to get a firm head count for who's going to be there. And so go ahead and make sure you guys get registered for that. Here's a couple of comments. Cindy says, me, so pay for kids' college. 50 grand, if you can do that once a year, that sure does pay for tuition. Yeah. It sure does, man. We have a lot of members of our group who build this business for their kids. It's a family business. Alexander said, I think Alexander's over in the UK, 50K would buy a house. So they give you a down payment for a new house that you want. You could pay cash for a car. You could put it in the savings account and have, if that would give you security. For a lot of people, an extra $50,000 would represent security and stability in their business and life, so they're not living paycheck to paycheck anymore. There's a lot of things that could do, right? Now, if you're Grant, 50 grand, I know how you guys think. You probably invest that right back into the business. Right. And multiply that again and turn it into 100,000, because I know how you think. But that's cool, man. So, well, let me just wrap it up with this, Grant. Louisville's important. Why, not everybody who makes 20 grand is going to come to this event, but I can promise you that everybody in our group who's a 20K per month earner, a high 6-figure, a 7-figure earner will all be in Louisville. And so the real benefits, guys, we can do hangouts like this. You can attend courses, classes. All this stuff is great. I believe in all these things. Really, the rubber hits the road when you get to rub shoulders with the who's who in our group, and not just in our group, in our industry. And these events are special for that very reason. It attracts a very special person, and we want you to come and be our guest. We've offered group codes for all of you members that are part of our group. These are going to expire at some point. There's limited seats to our group because of the events that we have planned. So if you have already made the decision to go but haven't got your tickets, make sure you head over to sellersummitlive.com. You can use the coupon code Together We Win for a discount on general admin tickets, and then you can use the coupon code VIP for those of you that want the VIP treatment and experience. So, Grant, I want to ask you, man, in closing thoughts, dude, why do leaders go to Louisville? What are you excited about the most, man, for this year?
It's got, again, I said it already, and I'm going to say it again. It's relationships. I'm excited to meet people. Leaders are going to be in Louisville so that they can rub shoulders, like we talked about, with other people who are really successful in their business or more successful in their business, so that they can, extract, right? Leaders go to events, like I just said, to extract info, to extract intel, to figure out where the meat and potatoes is, right? That's why leaders are going to be there. That's why I'm going to be there. I would encourage you, something I want to tell you too, real quick, with Q4, if something you can prepare for right now is get access to money, right? You cannot have, I don't care if you want to use debt or not, but you cannot have access to too many resources. So consider your options. If you need to talk, credit cards, I don't care. Sync Cabbage up, right? Kabbage to your Amazon account so they can start, analyzing your account. But the more access to resources you have, the better. I wanted to drop that before we finish this call. So, but yeah, man, I'm excited about meeting people. I'm excited to answer questions. I'm excited to mastermind, right? Gabe can talk a lot about, the power of masterminding. He's kind of a fluent in that type of conversation. But, when great minds come together, or like minds come together, the way Gabe has described it is there's an additional brain, essentially, or mind that is created, and everybody gets to feed off of that and reap the benefits of that mastermind. So whether it's, again, when you go to an event like this, have an intention, like Gabe said, right? Know what you're going there for, right? When I went to my first event, I was going there for, where's all the product? That was my big question. Like, where do I find replens, right? I learned about grocery, something that I was approved to sell in and had never even touched it, right? And I got what I needed. I came back and I took massive action. So your attention, what do you want to get out of the event, and then leave there with a mastermind, right? That's just one thing I'm going to tell you. Leave there with a mastermind that you can meet with on a regular basis, because we know from experience working with people in the group. Right now we're working with TAP and stuff like that. That it elevates everybody that is involved. I can see it in our group as it's building currently. There are members of our mastermind that are seeing other members, perform, and they're like having to step up their game, right? And sometimes that's just what you need, is a little bit of motivation, sometimes some friendly competition to get the ball rolling, so that you can go where you're trying to go. So Q4 is going to be big. We're going to be talking a lot about Q4. It's September 1st and 2nd, you guys. So that's going to be the topic of conversation, because there's going to be really nothing more important than the following 4 months after the event. So as far as business, your family comes first.
You said it well, man. You said it well. This is the who's who of our group. Our Platinum Mastermind members will be here. Grant, our speakers, our internal staff will be here. You guys will get to meet all of us. And then Grant, you keep mentioning TAP. We haven't talked about this. This is a private apprenticeship program, the Apprentice program, where folks get to work directly with Grants, and we get a lot of goodies for our TAP members. You get access to lead lists, really it's Grant's 7-figure playbook is really what we should call it. You get access to the whole farm, but those guys get results, and we built this system in a way to help you get results. And so if you miss the opportunity to get in on TAP, that group is currently full. You can always message Cindy. Send an email to team@sellersecrets.com, and she'd be happy to get you on the waiting list. But getting to Louisville really is the next best opportunity to get around like-minded people, because you can surround yourself with this group, and that's where the magic happens. So we are excited. Grant, I'm excited to hear your talk, man. I'll be there learning from all you guys as well, the same, man. And it'll be good to get off the interwebs for a couple. It's always funny. Every year we go to an event, dude, people are always like, especially the first day or two, they're like, hey, you look so different than on Facebook. Yeah. And it's always the same joke. It's like, yeah, you're not this big anymore. You know, it's real life. And Grant, you've said that the #1 breakthrough for you with events is relationships. I'll echo that, because this business, like all businesses, is a relationship business, and not just with vendors and things like that, but with peers and with other resources. And one of the skills you learn as an entrepreneur is how to be resourceful, not just with money, but with relationships, how to find answers to things. And so this summit, we just pull it all in one location for you. We make it really easy. You show up, you're going to have all the people in one spot. You're going to make some new friends. You're probably going to meet some people in your area that you didn't even know were in the group that we're selling. And you're going to come away with some breakthroughs and a whole new perspective. And then you're going to get to work, and you're going to have the best Q4 ever. And you're going to look back on this and say, thank goodness Gabe and Grant were persistent. And thank goodness I came to this event, because this is the turning point in my business. And it happens every year, guys. I think Tony Robbins has an event called Turning Point. We should maybe have that. So it's all good stuff. Ray asked about the Scan Everything course. It has officially been released to TAP members first, and our web guy is connecting all the checkout pages as we speak. So it's been imported into the members area. It's ready to go. We just got to make it easy for you guys to access it. So I know, guys, this is a lesson in technology. If any of you guys ever do go into digital publishing, there's a lot that goes into publishing a course. There is a whole lot that goes into it, but it's there. It's right at the finishing courses. Ray, we'll make a note to send you a message as soon as it gets released here very shortly. So Grant, anything else, man? I'm looking forward to seeing you here. We got a countdown to Louisville is on, man.
I'm ready. I'm absolutely ready. I'm a little nervous about getting on stage. Last year I was sweating like a dog, and which dogs don't sweat, so that's kind of a weird analogy, but it was nerve-wracking, but I'm a little more confident this year. I'm excited. One thing I know is Devin's going to kill it. He's super talented, well-spoken on stage. He's got a lot of great value. You guys have learned so much from Devin. He's kind of one of my mastermind partners. We live within about 3 hours of a drive from each other, and so he's constantly hitting me up. We're constantly going back and forth and masterminding, and I can't tell you the value of that relationship. I couldn't put a number on it. If just in leads, I could put a number on it. He's been worth well over 20 to 30 grand in profit for me. So that's just in a monetary, like, leads basis. That I can't, the knowledge and just the insight and the perspective that I've gotten from Devin is worth far more than that. So that's the power of these events, you guys. You got to be there. You got to be there, or you will be missing out. And I know that we don't want to hard sell you guys, but Gabe doesn't want to, because this is his baby. He's got to be professional. I don't necessarily have to be. You want to know why? Because I know the power of these events, and I'm going to tell you right now that if you're not there, you are going to miss something great. It's just that simple. One of the things that's really unique about our events, our Gabe's events, right, and our little community, our little pocket in the industry, is we are a family, right? If you guys have ever been to events with 1,000, 2,000 people, it's like intimidating. It's nerve-wracking, right? You're like afraid to even go in the room because there's so many people, and it's, you start getting anxiety a little bit. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be really like low-key, chill. People giving hugs, shaking hands. It's gonna be really cool. So we want to see you there.
Yeah, well said, man. Maybe we should just make it like, maybe I should stop being so, I should just be like, you need to go to the events or you got to leave the group. You're just kicked. You're out the family. I say that in love because I believe in it so much though. Like, and I want you guys to transform on such a strong level, but I can only meet you on the 50-yard line. You got to put yourself in the game and get your tickets reserved and get all that stuff handled. So be a leader, handle your business, get yourself to Louisville, do it now. We're going to have limited seats in the welcome reception. So if you get in too late, if you wait, you may not get into that. And we want you guys to have the full experience. So head over to sellersummitlive.com, use the codes, get to the event, get your tickets reserved today. Ray, looking forward. Ray, are you here in the States? I forget where Ray, you said you were from. I'll tell you this last piece in closing, Grant. I had a Facebook chat yesterday. A member reached out to me just to say thanks. From time to time, this happens. It always makes me feel good to know we're making an impact. And I know, sometimes we get to see the fruits of our labor. And Grant, this as a coach, sometimes you don't get to see the fruits of your labor. And it's, sometimes it's in another business or another world. And someone's like, man, you really impacted my life. And you don't get to hear all this stuff. But we had a member from the UK who was super upset that she couldn't come to the event. And you're by all means still welcome to come here. And she said, I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, in my area here in the UK, we don't have events like this. And it really dawned on me. I think we get so spoiled here in the States. We have stuff like this. Guys, there's people in other parts of the world that don't have the opportunity. I want you to imagine this for a second. What if you didn't have the opportunity to meet with like-minded people and you felt like you were stuck on an island by yourself and you were just trying to do this business and figure it all out from yourself and from the internet and things like that? Imagine how that would feel. Now this particular person is welcome. She can fly over. And we had people from Canada at the event last year. I think we had a couple countries, maybe 2 or 3. I think Mexico also. So it might have been North America only. All over the U.S. though. Grant, you're in the upper Northwest. Devin's in the upper Northwest. We got a lot of members in Florida. I'm here in Chicago. So all over the country, we'll be flying and driving into Louisville. It's a super central location. So most of you watching this could probably drive there within a half day who are on the central Midwest. But imagine if you couldn't come. Imagine how you'd feel. And so I want you to take advantage of this opportunity. And if you can't be here, I won't say this person's name, but think of them and think of how much they would give to be able to have your seat at the summit. And like Grant said, this isn't the event's going to be awesome, but this isn't a big seminar like you've been to. This isn't like your typical event. We do things a little different around here. And if you've been to our events, you know what they're like because people really do leave feeling like they have extended family. And I've seen relationships develop, friendships develop out of these that you just can't get on the internet. So Ray, you're in Tampa. You're down the street, man. Would love to meet you in person. Melanie, Cindy, I see you guys on here. So guys, get to the event. Here's my one request. Get signed up. As an event host, it is crazy. We have a million things going on, and we'd like our event team's been messaging me saying we need to get a final head count for some of these early activities. So if you want to get in, get a head count. We may close down ticket registration at some point as we get closer. I know there is a hard deadline for room block on July 31st or when the room block fills up, whichever is first. And I'll have the hotel follow up on that. Ray says he'll be there. Looking forward to meeting you, Ray. Looking forward to seeing Cindy there. And Grant, I'm losing my voice, dude. Losing my voice. So, well, hey, man, happy Amazon Prime Day. We're just kind of get a little taste, okay? This webinar is very appropriate for today because if you have that feeling like you missed out, okay, it's just one day. It's just Amazon Prime Day, so don't beat yourself up. The bigger day, Q4 is coming, and what we don't want to have happen is we don't want to have Thanksgiving Day come around and have you be sitting around with your family eating turkey being like, man, I remember that webinar that Gabe and Grant did back on July 11th telling me I was supposed to go to the summit and get ready for it, and here I am eating turkey, and I don't have my store stocked. So we want to help you stock your store, and if you want to know what products to buy in Q4, okay, be at the summit. And that's one of the intentions I'm going to kind of help you set, if you haven't set one yet, is the right products to buy. And I'm pretty sure Grant, Devin, Gary, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to be dropping nuggets all weekend in the VIP lounge, etc., on how to make that happen. Alexander said he just bought his tickets. Alexander, my friend, are you in the UK? Remind me where you're from. If we have our first from the UK, I would love, Grant, this is a side conversation, But I have, and we'll wrap this up, I promise. It's a quick, I just have this vision, dude, of this network that extends all across the globe, specifically here in the States, but also in the UK and different areas where meetups are happening and small events are happening all across the country, and people are getting together. And so I think this is going to be one of the launching pads for that vision. We're going to see this unfold because we saw this last year. So Melanie, thanks, Gabe and Grant. Excited for the Seller Summit. So Melanie is in. Welcome, Melanie. Cindy is excited. And yes, he is from the UK. So Alexander from the UK, I think you might be the first one, brother. You might win the award. We'll see. We'll see what the farthest travel award goes to this year. But anyways, Grant, any parting words, man? We got to wrap this up so we can get back to work. Any parting words for everybody?
Punch fear in the face.
I love it. I saw that picture and I was looking through the pictures from last year. That was great, man. We got to get that on a t-shirt, dude. That's like a private, we got to get that as like that was great. That's great. Punch fear in the face.
See you guys in Louisville.
See y'all in Louisville, man. Hey, happy Amazon Prime Day. Grant, we'll see you there August 31st at 7 p.m. The welcome reception starts, and we're looking forward to meeting you guys there, guys. So have an awesome day. Big G, we'll talk to you soon, man.
See you guys.